I don't like telling you how much I charge for my lawnmower repair service. I'm cheaper than everybody else. I mean, there is nobody around that even comes close to what I charge, because I have no overhead. So it's easy for me to just stick to, you know, a good living and call it good. And I've really tried to build processes into my intake. You know, when the customer brings me a lawnmower, I make sure I get their text number, their address, and their name, so I can, you know, if they don't pay, I can send them a certified letter, you know, because that's part of the law. You got to do that. So I make sure I have that information. And as soon as they leave the property with the lawnmower still here, I send them a text message of my shop policy. In that, I talk about the hours and, you know, the how I prefer to get paid, and how long you can keep your mower here before, you know, there's additional charges, and my warranty policy. And my warranty policy is really defined well. So I send that to them with a picture of their serial number, so we can identify how old the lawnmower is if it ever goes to court or into Facebook, you know, because they're complaining about my services. And I feel like, man, I really got this nailed down. So customer comes by the other day and he says, I got this push mower. Well, actually he called and said, where are you located and all that, or asked me if I was still open. I guess that's what he said. And he says, yeah, I used to travel, really, he was traveling 100 miles to go to a lawnmower repair place. And he says, I didn't realize you were so close. I'm gonna start bringing my stuff over to you. Hey, great. So he brings me this walk behind self-propelled mower, and it's really nice. It's not been used very hard. It's clean, oil's clean, new air filter. So I'm thinking, you know, this is a good machine to get fixed up. He says, it's been sitting for 4 years. And here's the story. The guy who owned it died, and he gave it to my friend. My friend lives in Kansas City, but he has a second home down here. I loan him my mower, which is fine, but I figured we could get this one fixed up and he could, you know, use this one. So I look at the machine and think, yeah, okay, this is reasonable. And he says, but I don't want to spend more than $200. Now that's what I heard. Apparently he said, call me if it's going to exceed $200. But in my mind, I really don't see a difference in that statement. I was going to shut it down at $200. I probably would have called him. Well, I know I would have called him. Look, this isn't worth it. You told me $200. It's not. It's going to exceed $200. But either way, to me, $200 was the cutoff where I needed to stop and make some decisions. So I bring it down here. I send him my text message to make sure that he understands the warranty policy and all that stuff. He immediately replies back, okay. And the okay is the, you know, the signature. In court, that holds up when he replies to that specific message. So I get busy. And, you know, it's been sitting for 4 years, so we all know what it's going to do. So I put some starting fluid in it, starts right up and dies. So it needs a clean, carburetor cleaning. No big deal. So I take the carburetor off, take it apart, put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. I clean it for an hour. Now, it has fuel stabilizer in it. I've talked to you about this in a previous video. And it is just like soup. So get it back on, start it up, and it's running. It's running rough for a few seconds, minutes, maybe a minute. But I'm thinking that's because the fuel system is still kind of gummed up. You know, we just got all that stabilizer in it. It's just soup. But I run it, and it's running great. It finally chokes out, you know, gets, excuse me, it finally clears up and starts running. I cut a patch of grass, does great. So I come up here and I kind of patch it all together, put it all back together. And then later I think, oh man, you know what I need to do? I need to put some seafoam in it. So I dumped a good portion of seafoam in it to kind of clean up all that fuel system. It's called a chemical clean. And I just want to make sure everything was clean. So I ran it for 20 minutes. Make sure that seafoam got in there. It's cleaning the carbon off the valves. It's cleaning up the fuel system. And then you let it soak overnight. It's called a heat soak is what it's called. So next morning I get up, won't start. So I drain the carburetor, and sure enough, that stabilizer is just, it's all over there. After I cleaned the carburetor, ran, you know, fresh gas through it, drained it, it still was able to peel that stabilizer off of things. And it settled to the bottom of the bowl, and it just wouldn't start. So I drained the gas and put more gas in it, starts up. Well, I don't run it because now I realize it needs to sit. So now I've got two charges. I've got the cleaning, the carburetor cleaning, which is one charge. It's a standard price. And now I have the chemical clean, which is an identical price, but it's still the same price. You know, so it's double the price is what I'm saying. And I'm still well below, not even half of the $200. I'm way below it. So I'm thinking I'm okay. But I wanted to make sure that the gasoline got to sit for 24 hours with the full tank, make sure everything was running. So this morning I come up and I start it up, and within a few seconds, it starts sputtering pretty bad. So I'm thinking, well, I guess we got some more of that junk in it. So I take the air filter off and I look down and I realize, nope, we have a choke problem. These chokes are automatic chokes, and what happens is it's a thermostat on your muffler. So when you start it, the muffler instantly starts to heat up and that thermostat starts to move over. Well, there is a linkage right here, and that linkage is attached to the choke butterfly. So as that moves over, it opens that choke up. So as it warms up, your choke opens up more and more. Well, it's not opening. The thermostat is stuck. After 90 seconds, it pops loose and runs great. So I have a decision to make. I can tell the customer, okay, it's ready to go, but you're gonna have a real problem with it for the first 90 seconds. It may even die and you have to try to restart it. Well, being a good mechanic, normally I would have called the customer and said, look, this is what we got. I'm gonna replace the thermostat and let them decide. But he said we had a budget of $200. Okay, so I go and order the part, and we're still under the budget. Not by a lot. Well, I'll just say it. We're now at $170 because that part is pretty expensive. But he said it was okay. I really had no qualms with this. Talked it over with Carolyn. I asked AI. Everything agreed that I was well within specifications of his request. Even when I said, when he showed up here, I said, you know, $200 is a lot of money for this. Oh no, it would be cheaper to do it this way than to go get a new mower, which is a true statement. A new mower would have been about $350 to $400. So under $200, I'm thinking, yeah, that's a reasonable thing to do. Now remember, he is not the owner of this. His friend is, who lives in Kansas City. So the guy says, when he drops it off, you call me when it's done and I'll come over and I'll pick it up and I'll pay for it myself. Okay, great. So like I said, this morning I ordered parts. Parts are going to be here next Wednesday. This is Friday. So, and he said there's plenty of time. Take your time. If he needs to borrow mine more, he can borrow it all summer if he needs to. I just want to get this thing running. Okay. It seemed like a very legitimate a customer. To make things even better, he mentions another customer of mine. Says, so-and-so, who I get tons of business from. Every month, he pays me $115. I've talked about him before. He has this Craftsman lawnmower and a Rocky yard. And he knows he needs to buy a brush hog, but he considers that Craftsman and my skills his brush hog. So every month he busts us up. Same thing. Every month he busts one of those spindles, damages a blade, and he brings it over. Or actually, I go pick it up. So I'm even making more money because I got that pickup charge. I go pick it up. I put a new spindle on it, and I take it right back to him. He is a great customer. Never complains, always pays, very happy, likes to talk. So when he mentioned his name, and you know, it was the same street, they live on the same street, I thought, this guy's gonna be great. I didn't worry about anything. So again, just ordered the part today. Well, they show up today. Says, hey, we were in the area just wondering how that lawnmower is going. Well, I didn't know the guy. I didn't know who he was. Of course, there's a passenger over there, but I don't see him very well. I'm kind of standing away from the door. I don't like standing next to doors in case they spray you or pull out a gun. I want to be able to react a little bit. So I'm standing back, and I said, oh yeah, it's running, but that choke is sticking a little bit. So, you know, I ordered some parts. And at this point, the guy is getting out of the car. He says, oh, okay. And he asked a question, and I thought he said, when will the parts be here? So I said, oh, they'll be here Wednesday, and I'll be sure to get it fixed on Wednesday. No, how much is it? I said, no, oh, yeah, we're under the $200. We're at $170, and you're going to have a nice running machine. $170? I'm not paying that much. I could buy a brand new one for $100. Well, I don't know what planet he thinks he's from, but he ain't buying a brand new one of those walk-behinds for $100. And I said, but the guy who brought it over said we had a budget of $200. He pokes his head in the truck, and says, did you tell him we had a budget of $200? And the guy says, no, I told him to call me if it exceeded $200. Okay, so $200, I'm thinking, okay, we've just settled the problem. The guy pokes his head back out of the car. He walks back around the door. He said that you were supposed to call him at $200. Yeah, okay. Well, we're not there yet. We're at $170. Well, I'm not paying it. This thing isn't worth more than $50. Oh, man. So I walk down, I grab the mower, and I pull it up to him. And I am livid. I usually don't, well, I hardly ever do. I don't remember the last time I've ever been this livid. And I told them what I thought of them. And every cuss word that I learned as a sailor was used. I called them the P word, the F word, every word you can think of. I called them rich little P words. I mean, I was just, and people are going to say I was unprofessional, but that's fine. I don't care what they think. Those two, I don't care. What I want people to understand is if you're going to come over here and try to scam me, you're getting your hindsight chewed off, period. I am so sick of this manipulation and these lies. They approved the money. They approved it, and they admitted that they approved that money. And they weren't going to pay it. He says, well, I'll just leave the effing thing here. And I said, no, you ain't leaving that here. You're taking it with you. I said, next thing you'll do is sue me because you didn't get your lawnmower back. So they pick it up, put it in the truck. So they got a running lawnmower. All they got to do is wait the 90 seconds. So I send them a bill, and I said, AI wouldn't approve this because I always have the bill. I tell AI what I want written, and it formats it nicely for me. So I tell AI, the carburetor cleaning, and that was the price, and then the chemical clean, and that was the price, and then we ordered parts, and that was the price. Oh, no. I didn't say that part. Anyway, and then I said, rich P word, discount, negative the total. So it was $0. Of course, AI didn't use the rich P word. That would have been great. I don't even understand people. I even said, I live in a box, and you rich P words come down here and try to take advantage to all these businesses down here. Of course, our businesses, it's a tourist area, you know, so a lot of them open up for the summer. But I don't know why, because they're all the same. So anyway, I message my current customer, the one that has the Craftsman, and I apologized to him. I said, I appreciate the referral, but things just went sideways today. Of course, I had AI write it out for me. It was all very polite. And I said, I just wanted you to know before this guy tells you that we had a bad experience, that it got heated. So I hope that you and I can remain, you know, customer and mechanic relation and all that. He instantly calls me. He says, I don't know who you're talking about. And he goes on for an hour saying, you're a great mechanic and I appreciate you. I don't know who you're talking about. I've only lived there for a couple of years, and the only guy I know there is the guy across the street. Names his name, which isn't the name of this guy. So I go through the whole story. I said, if you want to hear the drama, here it is. He thought it was hilarious. I mean, he was mad. So he did a Google search to see where he lives, because I had the address. And he says, I know where the house is. I drive by it every day. I don't know who lives there. So my customer did not refer him. He lied. I don't know how this guy knew that I worked for my customer. Could have been word of mouth, you know, just neighbor and neighbor. But I just can't stand people. This is why I keep saying that I don't want to be around people. They all lie. The majority of the people lie. That guy should have gotten out of that truck and said, look, I approved it. I'll pay you out of my own pocket. My fault. I messed up. But he didn't. He just stood there in the corner like he was being whipped by his friend. And they're older people. I know that they think I was trying to scam them, but I wasn't. If I had not fixed it correctly, they would have said I scammed them. So what are you supposed to do? Got to fix it correctly, but you can't do it for a charge. So if you'll click this up next box, take the video over to my other channel, really appreciate it. Go check it out. So if I can inspire you, don't be like that guy, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.